So how do you get from driving to the port with a truck, bringing it in, and then sending it into FBA to sending, I would assume, container or yes, short containers into Amazon directly? What's the logistics process like that?
I guess I started that way because sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and in this case I didn't know a lot. So I kind of, along the way, you'll end up adding people to your team or specialists that handle a lot of this, right? And so I no longer do that. But at that point in my life, I didn't know what I should be looking for. Like I didn't even know what's a good freight forwarder look like. I didn't know, and I didn't have friends to ask, so I had to figure it out myself. So it was really like, I'm going to handle this myself, figure out what does success in this job looks like. So then when I'm pushing off onto someone else, I know what this should look like. I know what the workflow, right, what the whole process is like. I'm currently, my main focus now is actually nutritional supplements, and everything is made here in the U.S. So it's been a few months since I've brought anything in from China. But what does that workflow looks like? I mean, we could talk about the exact order flow. Is that what your question is?
Yeah. So typically, how would you write an order where the whole container would end up at a FC as opposed to? Because they typically will break out your orders if you're shipping it yourself. So logistically, how do they take the container, or how do you get the container through the port and into one fulfillment center?
I'm going to add to that. Is with multiple different products in the container or just one product? Because that can make a difference.
Yes. No, with multiple products.
So both.
Yeah, multiple products in the container. You're going to have a hard time. Yeah, really. Maybe split it up. Maybe do a 20 foot. I guess I've been fairly fortunate in that a lot of the stuff it comes into Long Beach and then goes into ONT 8. It's like Oakland in California, and I have it set up where basically the entire floor loaded container goes all the way from China into ONT 8. That's the way I do it now. I do insist on quality checks in China. That has to be done. You don't get paid off. This is not done. This does not go to the forwarder until I get the inspection report and I look it over. And only at that point do I go ahead and release the final payment. Everything's loaded in the container. A lock goes on the container, and that seal does not get broken except by customs occasionally. That does not get opened all the way until it hits Amazon's dock. I guess I've been fortunate in that when I've set it up that way, they've taken full containers.
My name's Alex. This one's for David. So I like that you said that you're filming your progress and putting it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. I was curious if that's completely separate to your Amazon business, or how do they affect each other, or if your YouTube has affected your performance on Amazon, or?
Yeah. So my focus, a big thing here with Amazon is that is my focus. Right now, like, I'm investing so much in my business, that is what's going to take my time. When I do have some spare time, throughout the day, then, I'll create some content. I'm trying to get that, build that audience and just help people not make the same mistakes that I've made. So as far as my YouTube channel, it is specifically on my journey. I'm trying to film more, but sometimes I take a couple weeks off because I'm just focused on the business or just not the right mood, just whatever the case is. But I'm trying to be more consistent because I realize that people do like the information that I have, and I have a couple of years of experience now, so I've been through quite a bit. I've gone through extensive, container exams on customs. I've gone through bogus IP claims, a bad supplier who was actually a trader, spending too much on PPC. You see where this goes, right? You're going to make mistakes, and so I don't want people to make those same mistakes because it costs a lot of money. And so that's the biggest thing. So yes, it's not my business. I don't make any money off of it. I just want to document my journey because people are trying to learn.
So my question is, when choosing a freight forwarder, what are some of the things you look for in them?
Okay. Correct forwarder. What are some things I look for? So you want me to take this, or you want to go?
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Forwarders, man. I started researching on shipping and forwarders, and it's a beast, right? So I would say there's a lot of unknowns. You don't know what you don't know, right? So I started to consume information, and basically I educated myself enough to where I understood if I'm not getting ripped off. So I understood FOB or EXW, X work, which is directly from the factory. You're going to have to find somebody to pick it up, inspect it, all that. FOB, they may deliver it to port, and then you have a freight forwarder handling the port, customs duties. DDP, meaning you have your supplier, whoever's shipping it, pay for all the customs and duties, etc. Once I understood that and understood some of the fees, I pawned it off to Flexport. So Flexport is what I use for most of my shipping, or also have an agent in China that handles some of those logistics. But honestly, it's a beast. If you want to get into details, you can, but really I just understood it enough to where I knew that the charges and what to expect, and I have Flexport do it. What I look for is Flexport, I like their detail. They're communicative, so they respond very quickly. You can track your boats, you can track your shipments. They're pretty transparent on all their fees, and they're just very professional. So hands down for me is one of the best freight forwarders out there.
I'll add, when I started, I opened the phone book and looked up forwarders. I started with actually a forwarder that's had an office here in Seattle. Worked with them for a while. Came to realize that I'm going to outgrow this organization. It is what it is. Ultimately, I actually ended up worked with Flexport for quite a while. Also, check them out. I mean, they've got a great amount of technology behind what they do, trying to really make it transparent, take an old industry and give you much more information than you can get anywhere else. That being said, last time I checked, there were Amazon partnered vendors when it comes to customs, and I've just gone from memory. I believe like Shapiro and Expeditors International were two names that Amazon said, we know these guys, they do a good job. So look in like the Seller University. I'm not sure they actually still make those recommendations if that's still there, but I would look at those two. Again, I've used Flexport for years myself. They have screwed up, for sure, they have, but they've made it right in the end, and so I guess that's all we can ask for.
So my question is about product differentiation, right? Sometimes I have a lot of ideas and I can be thinking too much, and that it gets expensive to change the mode, right? So how do you know if you're over improving something, and how do you know if what you're improving is the right thing? Right?
Differentiation, are you read the negative reviews, right? So you're like, what problem are you solving a problem, or are you just making it fancy to make it fancy? And that's right. One will work for you, the other one won't. You can't make a silk purse out of a sowsy, right? If you're selling a cell phone case, you can only take it so far. You can't go. You're only gonna be able to charge $10 for the thing. Don't make a $20 cell phone case. Maybe you can, but that's few and far between. How far to take it? Are you solving customers' problems, right? Are you solving? And that's a real. Are you actually solving a customer's problems? And if you're not, then you're probably going too far. Then dial it back, and maybe it's a bit for vanity. Make your packaging fancier, right? Make a cool, ornate looking box if you want to go up market, but improve it to the point where you're actually adding value, and then do the rest with packaging. That's
Clint, you pretty much covered it. I would say that obviously customer innovation is key. If you're not solving a problem, you're not going to be successful with it. It's going to be a Me Too product. But you can also differentiate, like you said, on your packaging, your listing. You can out Amazon them. So you should be using all of these, by the way. You're not just one, okay? You want to be able to out Amazon your competition. You want to be able to outclass your competition, meaning that you want to have your retail ready product for the most part. You have your packaging, your branding. These are the things that people see. You include a little bit above and beyond. But if you're just making improvements to a product that nobody are complaining about, it may be great, but it may not add that value that's going to command the price that you want from that customer. So that's the biggest thing. Look through those reviews, make sure you solve the problems. And if there's not a problem to solve, then it's not a product that you should get into. Your packaging, differentiate on that. Your listing, have the best photos that you ever seen on the first page for that particular niche, because that's going to help people convert. Your title, your bullets, these are all things that help differentiate you from your customers along with your product.
And I'm a new seller, so my question is, everybody's trying to get that product that is a home run, but we will get into the product that does not work out. So when do you know that doesn't work out? Because as looking at like a new seller perspective, we have done the research. We think that's the best product out there that we can sell. We've invested so much money, Is there advice from you guys that, okay, this is a time to pull out of this product, let's start looking for another one?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at that one because, I've been attached to products that I started. My first product, I really wanted this to do well. And I'll tell you what it was. My first product that I launched was under a brand, one particular brand, but it was hammocks and hammock accessories, like hammock straps. Now, I was just like, I could bundle these together and, create some more value here and differentiate on, there's hammocks, don't do them, okay? First off, it's extremely competitive. And so I was pushing and pushing and pushing. And these hammock straps, my supplier, pretty much screwed me over, and I just got a crappy product when I was trying to sell it at a premium price, right? So I thought I was getting a premium product, solving a problem, but that really wasn't a problem. I differentiated on it, but it was nothing that people actually really cared about. They already did the job very well. I just made it do it better, but there was no need for that, right? It was just diminishing returns. And so, but I kept pushing it, and that's where I spent the $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000 trying to really push a product that was just really not going to go anywhere. So it's going to take some practice, but how do you know that a product is doing well? Is one, do the numbers make sense? And I say, don't make the numbers work, have the numbers work for you. You know what I mean? If the margins aren't there, move on. So if the numbers are right, the margins are there, and you've learned how to evaluate and validate these products, then you should come away with a single or a double, pretty much in most cases. And I say that as, like, for example, understanding your demand, understanding if you can fit in that particular market, meaning that understanding how your competitors are ranking and where they're ranking, and if you can beat them, can you beat them on their listing? And if you feel like you can do those things, then maybe this is a product idea that you can go into if you've differentiated it. But if you've done the right stuff, like the ranking and the process of ranking for people that you've connected with, and understanding that, and you get there and you just don't stick, and you're throwing money at it, it might not be a winner. It doesn't mean that you did everything else wrong. It's just that it just might not be, the right time for that right market. And so, for me, the biggest lesson is that when things started working right, when things started to sell, started to pick up, and I started to rank, velocity started to decrease, that's how it's supposed to be. But when you're getting 1 or 2 sales here and there, maybe you throw a lot of money at PPC, you get 5 or 10, maybe even 20, but then you take off PPC and it dies, and when you only have 1 or 2 sales and it's just trickling in week after week, month after month, drop it. If you're not making money on it, drop it. That's when it's not working.
I like to draw an analogy between picking a product and a recipe to a restaurant. Critical, absolutely critical. It can make or break you, but it's not the only thing that can make or break you. And I would actually submit to you the most common failures from restaurants are not bad recipes. They're bad business management, actually, because this is a real business. And there will be people that cell phone cases are extremely saturated. That being said, there are going to be people that make cell phone cases successful, and that is not random. That's not accident. It's because of very specific planning and a very strategic launch, and they threw a ton of money at it, and they knew they're willing to risk it and make it happen. So although product selection is incredibly important, it is. It's also probably maybe not the most likely point of failure. It is definitely possible to fail there, but it's also possible to fail a lot of other ways too. And just like you've got that great barbecue recipe, now you're ready to open a restaurant, that's when the work starts. You didn't get done. You just started working then, guys, right? So if you're prepared for that and you're like, okay, here's what's next. I'm not just trying to get this into port. What do I do after? That's when the doors open and you actually start serving customers, and you actually start the real marketing and the real push. So if you're going in with that mindset, you're prepared. You're not disappointed right off the bat, and you're like, okay, this is what I'm signing up for, right? This is when you're up to plate and you're swinging, and this is when you actually start working. All the rest is pre-work. Then it gets hard.
One thing that wasn't discussed tonight is the value and importance of Amazon Prime Day. I understand that that's coming up. They're predicting June 8th, but it's not announced officially. So what do you do, or how soon do you folks start preparing for Amazon Prime Day? And how do you get your products into the buy box?
Did everybody hear that by any? Talking about Amazon Prime Day? How do you prepare for it?
I've had a Prime Day deal before, not this last year before that. Best day ever. Like, blew everything out of the water. Fantastic. So understand that I'm happy with Prime Day. This last Prime Day was kind of a joke. Like, their search broke. The whole site from the seller end was like, what are you guys doing? This is kind of ridiculous. I didn't have a Prime Day deal this year, although I have quite a few friends that did, and we're quite bitter with how it turned out. You end up with the Prime Day deal, I mean, we're talking tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Inside of, you're looking at your sales, and you're like, every hour, this is an insane amount of traffic. That's very real. It's very possible. Amazon is going to, so first, if you're talking about even getting a Prime Day deal, Amazon has to give you that blessing, right? Wave their magic wand and say, yes, we're going to allow you to run a Prime Day deal. And if that's great, have the inventory, like do everything you can to get that if that's possible. Other than that, you have maybe 4 times the amount of inventory you might normally move, if not more. It is pretty category specific, but yeah, you could do 400% on that day.
But even when you don't get a product or you're not chosen for Prime Day, you benefit from the traffic.
You will benefit from the traffic. Yeah, just to a smaller extent.
Yeah. And so, with Prime Day, not all products are going to see a boost, but typically you're going to see an increase because of this amount of massive traffic that's coming there. If you don't have a Prime Day deal, you can still do coupons and other promotions that can promote a lower price on your product that can help you out. So if you don't get like a strike through because you have a sell price, then you can create coupons, which is that little orange flag that you see there, to create more traffic or maybe increase your conversion on that particular day. Also, you got to really look at how many units that you're selling a month, and it's going to at least double in most cases, right? So understand your lead time. You speak to your manufacturer. If you're typically ordering 2,000-3,000 units at a time, hey, can you produce 9,000 units? And if you can, how soon can you do them, or how long it's going to take? So understand your lead time. One product may take 15 days to produce, 30 days to ship if you're going to be shipping a bulk order. So you want to make sure you have 60 days lead time to get in there, to get the port, to get checked in, to get your units ready, right? So that's when you got to understand your cash flow, make that purchase a little bit sooner. So understand your volume first, understand what your manufacturer can produce, and make sure you give yourself enough lead time to get that in.
You guys talked a bit about Facebook, and I was wondering sounds like you have a couple different brands. One, how do you kind of manage your Facebook with a bunch of different brands, or is it just your seller account that's the Facebook page? And how did you build up a following of just like a seller account on a Facebook page? It's not something you typically think about.
Right. I'll speak briefly on this and hand it off to Clint. I know he's done quite a bit with that. I've recently been doing this, and I've done this in different ways. So I set up a Facebook group. I set up a page for my business. I do that right when I just trying to get to real estate, but I also connect a group for that particular business. There's many different bots and things that you can use, but I use ManyChat to like engage with my customers. I build out a flow in a sequence that responds to them, and I try to make it personal, right? I do a little bit of features to make it like I'm actually typing, make sure I'm getting the right response. But now the biggest thing is that you want to go to Facebook Insights. And then you can if you understand your audience, you can understand how to target them and those particular customers. So once you understand your audience or your audience insights, build out that audience, you run traffic to them. I may have a deal like, hey, I may be targeting, older guys or something like that for whatever reason, right? For targeting for this particular product. Hey, figure out, we have this product, we're starting a beta program, we want you to test it, figure out how you can get it for free or something like that, right? Just send us a message below, right? So we create that ad that they engage in. We have instructions for them to, join our group, and then we're going to give them instructions on what to do from there. So we're just really understanding your audience, target that audience, create an ad, and have them engage with you to bring them to your group. And you want to try to spend a little bit of time on that, because you want customers who are just not deal seekers, people who are actually passionate about your products, but you still want to give them a deal because you're really just trying to drive traffic and sales.
Anybody else?
Let me go a little further on the Facebook. I go a little more in depth in that I will at any one point have at least like 3 Facebook groups, and it goes like this. There's the one for the brand. So imagine we're still selling these Avalara. We're going to have the Avalara Facebook page. I'm going to have one that's a deal site, only deals, and then frankly two deal sites, but I do bifurcate those two. So what I end up doing here is there's the brand page, the Avalara website, and then there's my deal site. The deal site is going to get my 95% off coupons. I'm not pushing the 95% off coupons to my actual Avalara customers. I don't want to cheapen them, frankly. That's what it comes down to. I want these people used to paying $30-$40 for my product. I don't want them to be expecting a 95% off coupon every time. So I make 2 separate Facebook pages. Also, I'm sure we are aware, you can see anybody's ads that's being run on any Facebook page, right? So if I'm Avalara, I don't want my ads shown on that page. You click on info on ads and you can see what ads your competitor's running, right? That's the best way to have them copy you. I do that to my competition. I don't want them doing that to me, so I made a totally separate page, and so my deals, my coupons come out of a totally separate page. And doesn't end up cheapening it. And where do I get that audience from? So as soon as you start selling these towels, you're going to end up with 100, few thousand people that have sold the towels, right? I'm going to download that list of buyers from Amazon, and I'm going to go ahead and upload that right back into Facebook, creating a custom audience from them, right? And so that's who I'm going to start running my full price or close to full price ads to, but still not cheapening it with the 95% off coupons. That's how I build that audience.
My question is, and you answered some of it, is say, what are the teams behind you? You said you have a designer, you have an agent, you do all the Facebook stuff yourself, and probably explain a little bit how did you get started, or doing yourself, and then where are you today? You have freelancers, you have full-time folks working for you.
I'll fully admit I'm kind of an anomaly in this world, that I do a lot myself, and I guess I like it that way. So I use a ton of software to automate things. A graphic designer, a few different photographers that I've worked with from time to time, and an accountant, but frankly, even there, I do a lot of it myself. Xero automates a ton of it. So when it comes to tax season, you run a tax act, right? TurboTax. I mean, some of this stuff is out there, and nobody's going to care about it more than me. So I will really, what it's coming, even probably the most complicated when it comes to income tax. Basically, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to know every penny of what's going on in my company, and then I'll have a professional look over it, say, do you agree with this? Is this right? This get a blessing of an actual CPA. That's what I've chosen to do. But otherwise, the majority of folks have been. I have had a social media manager. I ended up letting her go not too long ago. But it's I really don't use. I do it myself. Really, right? Yeah, it's that simple.
I mean, to piggyback off that, I know I had mentioned a couple things before. So honestly, I touch every single part of my business all the time, every day, every hour. So to get that out there, it's a lot of work, and I like that, the visibility. But there's some things I'm just not an expert in and don't care about really doing. Graphic design. Right. I give my graphic designer ideas. She creates my packages. I give her requirements. I do have a representative in China that I've worked with through a mutual, I guess not a partner, but somebody I got mentorship from. He shared his resource that helps me out in China. So she handles a lot of my logistics for my smaller items that don't need, say, Flexport to ship for me. Some of the bigger items that I have, and I use Flexport for my freight forwarding. But PPC, Facebook ads, social media, all that, I learned it myself enough to where I understand it. And eventually, when I just don't have the time to commit to learning those things, I'll pay somebody to do it for me. But until then, I look at my business hourly, minutely.
I have a question. What about VAs to help with some of this? Have you guys had experience with that?
I do not.
Anybody know what a VA is? Somebody not know what a VA is? Virtual assistant? What you got?
That's my social media manager, which I had an okay experience with that individual. Handled up by Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, basically every platform for this latest brand that I've been putting together to create that additional social proof, right? So someone Googles the name, it's not just a product on Amazon. There's more behind it, and that's not. I don't want to be creating that content or posting that to Instagram, right? Every few days. That's so I use a VA for that. You can find them yourself. I've had a relatively good experience with FreeUp. It's 3 E's. It's worth checking them out. You're going to pay more. You're going to pay a little bit more than if you went to like onlinejobs.ph and did it yourself. But you'll probably get them. I mean, it's a direct correlation to how much you put into it and how well you train people. And I've owned businesses before where I've had employees, and I don't like that. It's I guess you can go fast, you can go far, right? You can go fast alone, you can go far with a team. And in the managing of people, man, it's a whole nother level. So I like to own every part of it, and I'll outsource the graphic design, right? I'll outsource some specific tasks. But other than that, I choose to operate completely on my own, and there's no clocks to manage it. But then again, that's not for everybody, right? I'm going to be limited in the amount of bandwidth I can sell. That's just the reality, right? If the guys that go 10, 20 million, they've got teams, right? And I'm aware of that.
And VAs.
But they've got teams, VAs, right? Yep. And I'm limited by what I can do with as one person. I'm okay with that because I've got a level of autonomy and freedom that the other guys don't have. I've had employees, and I don't this time. Just a personal choice.
I want to make one quick correction. Yeah. So I will say that one of the biggest helps, Brenda has been helping me out. She, speaks Mandarin, so this is really critical. So if you know somebody who speaks Chinese and can speak to your suppliers and help you out, that's very helpful. So I would say that significant help, from her, and be able to kind of communicate and build that relationship with some of my suppliers. And I think that's a big reason why things happen a lot quicker, because communication can be troublesome at times. It's just like a tedious, and so you have to go back and forth and don't understand the details. So if you can find somebody who can, help translate or maybe be on a call with you just to kind of nail out some of these details, that is extremely helpful, because you can communicate things and articulate things in a very different way that I'm just not able to in Mandarin because I don't speak it.
Your business then, if you're taking total control and you're hands-on for everything, makes absolute sense to me, especially while it's growing. Once it's growing a bit, there may be some stuff that you can pass off and just glance at to make sure it's okay. Are you selling outside of the States and still doing everything yourself? Like how big is this business? Is it
talking about like UK or different points of sales? Yeah. So currently, my business is only in the U.S. right now. I am thinking about UK expansion, but really, I want to grow my business and focus on this market right here, and then may possibly expand. Yes, I could focus my attention on expanding to other regions right now, but for my business and my decision, it makes sense to focus on this region. I'm in here. I want to kind of build to a certain level. Then I'll start looking at kind of expanding to those different marketplaces.
Clint?
It is. I am the only one that does it. That being said, I've sold 3 brands, which I haven't mentioned earlier. So you don't get to sell these things until you've buttoned up your system. Like everything, every T is crossed, every I is dotted. Right? Buyers don't want to buy someone else's mess. So you get there by very right. Some of the things we talked about, right? I try to make data-driven decisions, very specific in everything. We didn't talk about it, but pre-order, I do what's called a product specification sheet. I've got a whole workflow. Here's how the order goes. The funds aren't released until this point, then this step has to happen, then this step has to happen, right? I create this entire structure so that it's very systemized. There's very, very few surprises. If there's a surprise, it needs to be an anomaly if it catches me off guard. So I create this thing from the very beginning to be systemized, to be, when this is done, this doesn't, I do it because I actually enjoy it and I like the challenge, but it is something that's transferable also. Like it doesn't need me to exist anymore. I follow these steps and this thing keeps going, but it doesn't need me to be following these steps. I've written it down and said, here's the notebook, it's yours now.